This is Bulgaria, the country with the highest population loss in the world. In the last 10 years, it has lost 840,000 inhabitants, representing 1/10 of its total population. Bulgaria has lost more people during this period than the American Civil War claimed in deaths. Every year, more than 100,000 Bulgarians die, while only 60,000 are born, causing the country's population to decline day by day. But there's a caveat. Bulgaria shares borders with North Macedonia and Greece, countries that are also facing population issues. North Macedonia alone has lost about 10% of its population in the last 20 years, and Greece has even started paying a bonus of over $2,000 in an attempt to stimulate the birth rate in that nation. This is happening because these countries are not only losing population due to mortality, but also due to migration. To understand this, we need to go back in history. After Bulgaria became a communist state shortly after World War II, the country experienced economic growth until the 1980s, when the collapse of the communist system in Europe began to take hold, and a series of crises in the 1990s weakened Bulgaria's economy and led to the decline of its industry. But the real problem emerged all at once in 2007, when Bulgaria joined the European Union. A country with high unemployment and low wages was no longer attractive to its young people, and with countries like Germany, France, and Italy now easily accepting Bulgarian immigrants, Bulgaria's population began to decline even further. The typical migration route for an average Bulgarian leaving the country is driven by the search for stable wages and opportunities across Europe, and what initially seemed like the best option for Bulgaria's weakened economy turned into a nightmare for its leaders. Since joining the European Union, almost 1 million Bulgarians have left the country, mostly young people, aged 18 to 28. And today, more than 23% of the Bulgarian population is over 65 years old, while only 14% are under 17. The population decline is most severe in the northern region of the country. Major cities such as Vidin in the northwest and Dobrik in the northeast have experienced a depopulation of 26% in recent years. This is due to the lower development and population density in northern Bulgaria. Historically, Bulgaria's most important cities have been concentrated in the south. The national capital, Sofia, which has been a major city since medieval times, remains the largest city in the country, alongside Plovdiv, the largest city in the Thracian region, which also experienced significant development throughout history. Then there's Bulgaria's main port, located in the south in the city of Burgas. Historically, Burgas port conducted business with Constantinople, the leading city of the medieval era, and the roads from Burgas led directly to Sofia and Plovdiv. Even today, the country's primary railway network is located in the south, not the north, and it directly connects to the main southern cities, while northern Bulgaria remains largely vast lands with fewer developed cities. Before World War II, agriculture was the main sector of the Bulgarian economy. In 1939, this sector accounted for 65% of the country's growth, with 4 out of every 5 Bulgarians employed in agriculture. It was precisely northern Bulgaria, the flattest, most uniform, and best suited region for cultivation that began to develop. However, the extremely failed agricultural reforms carried out in the 1990s destroyed rural productivity, perhaps even bringing an end to northern Bulgaria's economy. Now, Bulgaria's economy relies much more on industry and the service sector than on agriculture, which currently represents a mere 5% of the nation's GDP. The country that once exported fruits, vegetables, and meats is now an importer. The rural population continues to decline. In 1975, 42% of Bulgarians lived in rural areas. Today, according to statistics from the European Union, just over 2 million people, 1 million of whom are government pensioners, reside in Bulgaria's rural zones, representing 27% of the population. Moreover, there are fewer and fewer young people in rural areas, as limited job opportunities in the villages drive the bulk of the younger population to the country's major cities. In fact, the European Union predicts that by 2060, there will be no more villages left in the country. But not all is lost in Bulgaria. The Bulgarian government's decision to restructure incentives for grain production, vineyards, and cattle raising has resulted in returns at the same volumes as in the 1980s, a major victory for the government. Authorities have also released subsidies to help municipalities make structural improvements in roads, construction projects, and sewage systems. However, the funds are limited, and it is difficult to attract investments for larger and more ambitious projects, because the decline in the rural population means there is no guarantee of a return on investment. Furthermore, the government is implementing various measures to try to curb the population decline and stimulate an increase in the birth rate. Subsidizing fertility treatments and ensuring adequate support are some of the steps taken by the government. The big problem with all this is that Bulgaria's population could increase much more rapidly as Syrian refugees and those from poorer countries coming to Europe try to stay in Bulgaria, but the government says that foreigners are not welcome. In fact, the government itself has taken a hard stance on immigrants by placing a barbed wire fence along 260 kilometers of the border with Turkey to block the entry of immigrants into the country. Thus, with Bulgaria watching its population decline every day and its workforce weaken, along with its anti-immigration policies that go against what developed countries are doing, Bulgaria is witnessing a collapse in its population and, if nothing changes, that country could lose itself.